I'd like to call the governing board meeting for the Liberty Elementary School District to order on Monday, May 22nd here at the Jerry Roby District Facility. All 5 board members present, including Board Member Parks, Board Member Aguirre, Board Member Bixler, Board Member Kenyon, and myself, Michael Todd. Paul, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 1.3 is approval of the regular agenda form.
Mr. President, I make a recommendation to approve the regular agenda form consistent with board policy BEDB and temporarily suspend governing board policy, which with this agenda may be inconsistent.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve our agenda. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Aguirre. Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that proof. 5 yes, 0 no. Next item on our agenda is 1.4, the executive session pursuant to ARS 38431.03A1, personnel discussion on the finalist for a new interim superintendent employment contract for the new interim superintendent. The prospective interim superintendent has been provided with statutory required notice of the executive session.
Mr. President, I make a recommendation that we move into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A1, personnel discussion regarding employment of finalists for interim superintendent position and employment contract proposed for the interim superintendent. The prospective interim superintendent has been provided with the statutory required notice of the executive session.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for the executive session, ARS 38431.03A1. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Aguirre.
Yes.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that approved. 5 yes, 0 no. The time is 5:32, and we will now move to executive session. We will show that we are back in general session at 5:54 PM. Our next item on the agenda is 1.5, approve interim superintendent contract.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the interim superintendent contract effective May 22 of 2023 through June 30th of 2024, and offer of contract to Dr. Court Monroe as interim superintendent of Liberty School District effective immediately through the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Dr. Court Monroe as our interim superintendent. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Aguirre.
No.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that approved 4 yes, 1 no. So now we've got a little business to do to sign some contracts really quick. Dr. Monroe, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Board members, we can get a picture up front with Dr. Monroe, please.
If I can get everyone to step to your left, please. All right. Shock them over. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Count 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Okay, our next agenda item, first of all, Dr. Monroe, welcome, congratulations, we look forward to working with you. We know that you're going to take us in many great places with our already great staff, so your job should be fairly easy with, especially the person sitting next to you, so. It'll be good. Just for the public's knowledge, we are going to make copies of the contract. If you'd like one, you can request it tonight, and it'll be available. It'll also be on the website for everybody to read. Our next item is 2.1, Superintendent Introduction, and I'll just turn that over to Dr. Monroe for a minute.
President Todd and members of the board, first of all, I'd like to express my thanks to each one of you for your support in this position. Good leaders are always surrounded by a lot of great quality people who are very supportive, and I'm going to strive my best to be a good and effective leader. I look forward to working with our teachers, with the staff, with the parents, to move the district forward and to be successful. I'm enthusiastic and I'm excited. I guess I might sound monotone, but I'm excited to put my shoulder to the wheel and to be focused on bettering the lives of our young people in our schools. I would ask for grace and patience, remembering that today's my first official day, and I may not know what you know. And so you may have to sit and educate me, and I'm going to be a good listener. So, but I'm very excited to be a part of this district, a growing area. I have a superintendent entry plan that I've given to the board through the interview process. that I look forward to engaging in and then reporting back to the board in a couple of months, a lot of the things that I've learned. So once again, President Todd and members of the board, I appreciate your vote of confidence and your faith. I'm very excited to lead and honored to lead the Liberty School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item will be 2.2, attendance and enrollment reports. You can put Natasha on the hot seat again.
I'll take
She's
that
used
one.
to it.
For your review, we have attendance and enrollment reports. I stand ready for any questions.
Members, any questions? Okay.
Yeah, it looked like the attendance was about 91%. Is that the end of the year number? And that's relatively close to where we've been over the last pre-COVID attendance.
It is, we'd like to see that a little higher.
Yeah, I did notice that we had a couple campuses that did seem a little bit higher, so yeah. Yeah, I think if we move that up, that'd be great, so, but being at 91% is good, so.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to our governing board report. Board Member Kenyon, would you like to start us off?
I don't have a whole lot to report at the moment, other than I just want to thank everybody who was involved in the whole interim hiring process. There's been a lot of brain power put behind it, a lot of hours behind it. I know the board members here, now I'll speak for myself, but I know a few of them as well had some personal sacrifices to make this happen. So I do want to thank everybody involved in that, and I'm so glad that today finally came.
Board Member Bixler?
Yeah, I had a few things I was able to do. I spent quite a bit of time on Estrella Mountains campus. The first event that I went to was their second annual Wheels Day. If you've never seen the Wheels Day, it's pretty cool. They invite the kids to bring whatever wheels that they have at home, and they get to use them on a couple of different courses that they set up. And so there was a lot of skateboards and scooters and that kind of stuff. But the coolest thing was this thing called an easy roller. And boy, was it cool. You actually use your feet to gain the momentum. And the child that had it, the entire time they were there was about 20 minutes. And he was running that thing that entire time. He did let some other child try to navigate it and didn't turn out very successfully, but it was amazing. And the number of calories that child must have burned doing that was incredible. The other thing that was kind of neat to watch, if you stand up on the baseball field, you can see the kids coming from the main buildings, and you could hear them staging back at the main building. I was standing at the ball field, and I could hear them and the excitement that was building as they were coming out. And then it was ants marching. It was a very militaristic looking kind of affair where the kids were moving in and moving out, and it was really, really well orchestrated and really well monitored. The parents and faculty that were there did a great job watching over the safety of the kids. So that was the first event. The second was I also attended the Champs Field Day that they held at Estrella Mountain. That, again, was a lot of fun outside, lots of different games for the kids to participate in. The most popular appeared to be the water one, where they were shooting super soakers at each other. That seemed to be very, very popular that day. But for me, the best was the tug of war. I really enjoyed watching the kids go after the tug of war, and that was a lot of fun. Again, without the participation of parents and the entire faculty, that neither one of those events could have been pulled off, and both were pulled off with great success. The other thing I went to on the third one was actually the Westside Impact Awards ceremony that was held. And for those who don't know what the West Side Impact Awards is, it honors the best of the best in the West. Each school district nominates faculty and administration to be honored as being the best in the West. And that is also a wonderful event. It's always good to point out the good things that are going on, and we were very well represented there. There was kind of an interesting thing at the very end. At the very end, there were two awards that didn't appear on the program at all. But the administration of the Impact Awards wanted to make sure that there were a couple of people recognized not for their individual, but for their West Side impact on the education of kids. The impact they had not just in their current position, but overall their career. They were celebrating the career of two people. The first was Jody Gunning out of Litchfield Elementary School District, and she was given a special award. The second one hit home with me. It was for Dr. Lori Suff. And they celebrated her impact on the West Side and the contribution she's made to the education of the kids on the West Side. I could not have been in more favor of that. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed all of that.
I really did only one thing within the district, but it was a fun thing that I get to do every year, and that was help graduate 8th grade students. So I did that at Blue Horizons, and hopefully they enjoyed it. I'm sure they did, and I hope their parents are enjoying all their time with their kids during summertime now. So anyways, thank you.
Well, as it turns out, my favorite thing to do is commencement, 8th grade commencement, and I got to do it with Mrs. Boris and Miss Camp at Estrella. You know, it's amazing watching these 8th graders come up on stage. It's just watching, you know, like kind of looking through their eyes and looking what they were excited, they were scared, they were nervous. It was so much fun. So anyway, it makes my year when we get to do that, and I look forward to it next year.
Okay, I have just a few things. Last couple weeks have been pretty busy. We finalized our interviews with our candidates, provided campus tours with the assistance of Natasha Camp and Jason Nuttall to our two finalists. So crisscrossed the district all day as they got to take tours of those. Then continued on after our last board meeting with direction from the board to negotiate the contract. That went quite well and smooth, so that was good. What was really cool is Dr. Monroe has not wanted to wait, so I was able to join him this week to do an introductory to our food service group and to our transportation department, just so he could say hi to them before a lot of them depart for the summer. And I felt that it was a good thing. It was very well received. They were very excited to see the leadership of the campus over there to visit them. I too got to participate in graduation up at Freedom. That's the first time I had been at Freedom. It's my third year doing it. Certainly, what all the other board members said, it's one of the highlights of being a board member. It's a lot of fun. I can't say enough about the speeches that the teachers and the principal gave to the teacher or to the students as kind of their farewell messages. It sounded like we were at a college graduation. They were good, and I see Jason nodding as well. So he's been to a few more of these than I have, and just a great job. Miss Reynolds talked about some life lessons she learned from her father, who recently passed away. There was some jabbing about go Lakers instead of the Suns. Students reacted to that in an appropriate manner. So it was just great, and to watch them 8th grade was fantastic. I certainly appreciate Ms. Reynolds giving me an opportunity to say a little something to the students as well. So that was fantastic. Not to be overshadowed by anything else, our Goodyear campus has lost somebody recently. Maureen Carney from Goodyear Fire pal Mo, and my thoughts are with her family. Next up will be 4.1, public comment, and our first public comment will be Susan Cheatham. And just a reminder, you have 3 minutes. Your clock should be up on the screen, and we can just ask you to adhere to that 3 minutes and be respectful of everybody's time. Greatly appreciate it.
I just want to thank you, President and Board. I want to thank you for the hard work that you've done to bring about more conservative values to our district and for finding such a qualified candidate to serve this school district. And it's such a valuable, important position. Certainly is. And Dr. Monroe, I would like to extend to you a warm welcome to Liberty 25. Thank you. It is our pleasure to have you work with our leadership board, Michael Todd, Brian Parks, and Chris Kenyon, to move Liberty to the next level. The vision of this board is right on the money, and we the people like the new direction. We are ready to get back to focusing on reading and writing and arithmetic and making sure parents have full authority over their children. We are excited and looking forward to you bettering the lives of our children. And I will be praying for you as you just adjust to your position here and beyond. And thank you again for coming.
Thank you. Next up will be Jean Herman.
Thank you so much for the wonderful service that all of you have given to our most precious asset, which is our students and our children in our district. And welcome, Dr. Monroe Court. Lovely to meet you, and congratulations. It's my prayer also that with your help and your guidance of this board, that you'll be able to right the steps that are kind of out of step lately. And we're looking forward to seeing what you have in store for everybody in the school district and everybody who is in charge of setting things in line. There's a lot of pressing issues, from budget to teacher retention to test scores, things like that are pressing on people's minds. And as well as the teachers, and you've got a lot on your plate. And I know that stepping into anybody's old shoes and new shoes, and it's going to be a task. But we hope that anybody who is non-compliant in some of the laws and rules that were set forth by the school, for the school, by the state, are in compliance and kept. And it'll be an honor to have you at the helm and make sure that those are abided by. You'll have a huge job ahead of you, and we in the community and concerned parents and grandparents and taxpayers in this district will be holding our school board accountable in the days to come. So we're wishing you all of our blessings. We'll be praying for you, and thank you for everybody, what they've done all year. And I hope everybody gets to enjoy a little bit of time this summer with their families, and look forward to seeing what God has in store for you in the days ahead. Thanks.
Our next speaker will be Miss Julie Hout.
Mr. President and members of the board, I am here to discuss Agenda Item 5.10, which is requesting your approval tonight of the gifted scope and sequence. Administration has advised that you should approve the scope and sequence in its current form without any changes. You all received an email from me this weekend regarding my concerns and lack of administration's outreach for all stakeholder input on the gifted scope and sequence. As a parent of a gifted student in this district, I was not invited to provide feedback. Ms. Camp provided you all with additional information on what they did to solicit feedback. Ms. Camp shared that information with me as well. I have to say the process that was undertaken was inadequate. Pages 8 to 9 of the scope and sequence state, quote, "The District Gifted Review Committee, which consists of all campus gifted program lead teachers, cluster teachers, administrators, and interested parents, will meet annually in the spring in the form of a public stakeholder forum. Here they will review the scope and sequence and address any program needs. The campus gifted program lead teachers will then make recommendations to the superintendent for changes and updates based on the suggestions," unquote. Ms. Camp indicated in her email to you that, quote, "families in grades 3 through 7 who are currently in cluster gifted classrooms and qualify for the MAG program for the 23-24 school year were invited to the presentation held on May 4th, 2023, unquote. This is contrary to the gifted scope and sequence, which states that, quote, "all gifted program lead teachers, cluster teachers, administrators, and interested parents will meet annually," unquote. It does not appear that all campus gifted program lead teachers, cluster teachers, and administrators were invited. Which teachers were invited and which attended? What about the kinder through second grade parents and 8th grade parents of gifted students? The district currently tests kinder students and second grade students for giftedness. Why were those parents not invited? Why were all parents in the district not invited to provide their feedback? Do they not have valuable feedback to share about their gifted students? and their experiences? If this was to be the public stakeholder forum, why were only a select few invited? You excluded a good portion of stakeholders. Ms. Camp also stated in her email that the presentation included district gifted scope and sequence review, parenthetical, printed copies of the scope and sequence and gifted brochure provided to all participants.
I think we have the gist of your concerns. Thank you. Okay, members, any comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to item 5.1, the approval of the consent agenda. First, I ask if there's anything to be pulled.
Mr. President, I'd like to pull 510.
Okay. 510 will be pulled. Anything else? Okay, hearing no other comments, I'll take a motion in a second.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 5.10.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve our consent agenda with the exception of 5.10. Call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks,
Aye.
Board Member Aguirre,
Yes.
Board Member Bixler,
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that approved 5 yes, 0 no. I will move to item 5.10.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we table this for up to 60 days, so we just make sure we have our T's crossed and our I's dotted on this and make sure that we've followed the correct policy and procedure.
Okay. If that's your motion, I'll need a second, and then we can have further discussion.
I can second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
I agree with what Mr. Parks is saying, just for full transparency, just so that we do include all stakeholders. And I actually would like to, I understand this is for the gifted program, and it's meant to be, kind of an evaluation, a spring scope and sequence evaluation tool for those in the gifted program. There's a lot of there's a lot of parents that have children that may not be in the gifted scope currently, but they're right on that verge. And I think it would behoove us to be more transparent and just let, open it up to just the community. Any parent that would like to be involved in that wouldn't be a bad thing. That way they at least get to go in and see how things went, what's going on, and just be open and transparent. So that's my thoughts.
Okay. A couple questions. Do we have any timeline requirement to send this back to the state?
Just yearly.
Okay, so we've got time. My only concern with tabling it for 60 days, guys, is that's right through summer and nobody's around. I don't know that you're going to get any better feedback over the next 60 days than we would get if we extended that out to the first part of next year, or next school year. Summer's kind of become ghost town around here, so suppose we could do an amendment and maybe have it completed within 30 days of the first day of school, or something of that nature, so we can get true parent feedback. We also have a lot of new parents who will come in, and so it'd be good to include them as well, and they may not even be registered yet. We may not even know who they are.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we table this until we get the proper feedback and make sure that we're in compliance.
Okay, so we already have a motion, so you would have to amend your motion.
Mr. President, I'll amend my motion to table this until we get the proper feedback and make sure we're in compliance.
Okay, then I'll need a second on the amendment.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
There's no mechanism to amend motions.
So it's common practice within
Robert's Rules of Order, there's no
the Roberts rules.
no mechanism to amend motions. When a motion is on the floor and the motion is seconded, it's real simple. It's an up or down vote.
Okay.
If it fails and you don't move on from that item, you can continue to have motions on that particular item.
Okay, we can just take the regular vote and then we'll bring it back. So what we have is a motion to table it for 60 days. We have a second. Call your name, specify your vote. Board Member Parks.
Nay.
Board Member Aguirre.
No.
Board Member Bixler.
No.
Board Member Kenyon.
No.
I'm also no. We'll show it failed. 5 no, 0 yes. Is there another motion?
Mr. President, I make a motion that we table this until we get proper feedback and make sure we're in compliance.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table this item until we can get proper feedback in
I had a
compliance.
question for administration.
I have a motion. We had a second, so we can discuss. Go ahead, Mr. Park. Or I'm sorry, Mr. Aguirre.
Did we try and get feedback?
Yes, we did.
And how much feedback did we get?
26 responses.
Okay. So 26. How many are in the program?
Just over 100.
So roughly, wow, okay. So we did get feedback when we followed our own policy and procedures?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm actually coming to that. Let me pull up the email from earlier from you. So I noticed there's 26 responses. A lot of that is very basic. The last question in there is please provide your feedback on the district's strengths and opportunities. How many of the 26, what was the feedback from that? That one question. Because the rest of the survey was very, your email address, your name, what grade your child was in, your student's name, your email address. It really didn't solicit feedback until the last question.
$15.
Okay, it's not a very high number. Okay.
Just
I'm also,
some of the other ones that we've had, what's the feedback look like on that? Say with some of the other sequences that we've done. I think we've done a couple and it seems like there's been like 0 involvement.
We do them every year.
Okay.
okay, members, we have a motion and a second to table this until such time that we can get proper feedback, include all stakeholders in the gifted program. We do have a second. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks?
Aye.
Board Member Aguirre?
No.
Board Member Bixler?
No.
Board Member Kenyon?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that proof 3 yes, 2 no.
And I'd like to explain why I voted no. I think it sets a very, very dangerous precedence that the board isn't listening to administration and that is only listening to certain groups that bring attention to the board. I think that sets a very, very dangerous precedence.
I'd like to explain my vote.
Please do so.
We've been going back and forth about transparency, and you can't be transparent to the community about only certain topics. So if we're gonna be transparent, let's be transparent. I understand, we do take recommendations from the board. This is our job, set policy, make sure that things are being followed. If they're not being followed, things are brought to our attention. We do have to address those. And so if we have a policy that says, we should be serving everybody in the gifted, and then we don't follow all that, or we see that we can improve that policy by extending it, I feel it's right to bring that out to the public.
I'm going to follow up with just something real here that I find dangerous. That it's dangerous that we're not listening to the administration. Our job is to listen to our constituents. And if you don't get that, I'm sorry. But I will follow that 100 times over and over again. And at the end of the day, we hold administration accountable.
Okay, members, we'll move on to 6.1, discussion consideration to approve Open Up Illustrative Mathematics as the primary instructional resource for K-8 grade mathematics. Ms. Camp.
Mr. President, governing board members, it is my pleasure to bring forward to you a recommendation from the Mathematics Adoption Committee for Open Up Illustrative Mathematics to be used as a primary instructional resource for kindergarten through 8th grade math. As you know, this is one of our largest adoption committees with over 50 teachers and representatives on the committee. The Mathematics Adoption Committee met a total of 5 times throughout the last 5 months. The committees were open to the public. Committee agendas and meeting documents were posted using board docs. Committee minutes for each meeting and video recordings for each meeting were posted on board docs as well. The committee meetings consisted of accomplishing the following tasks: creating a rubric to evaluate mathematics primary resources, narrowing options of the top 2 K-8 mathematics primary resources to put on public review for 60 days and for math teachers to pilot. Provide training to committee teachers for piloting both the top 2 resources, and then evaluating those top 2 resources to select the resource to recommend to the superintendent for governing board approval of adoption. Illustrative mathematics is a problem-based core curriculum rooted in content and practice standards to foster learning and achievement for all. Students learn by doing math, solving problems in mathematical and real-world context, and constructing arguments using precise language. Teachers can shift their instruction and facilitate student learning with high leverage routines that guide them in understanding and making connections between concepts and procedures. Open Up Illustrative Mathematics directly aligns to the mathematical practices in Arizona mathematics high academic standards for students. Illustrative Mathematics has been reviewed by Ed Reports, and it met the following criteria in the teacher pilot evaluation. Alignment, lessons, and instructional materials were coherent and met the depth of the standards. Lessons were aligned to Liberty Elementary School Math Block, Launch, Explore, Discuss, Close, Small Group, and Workstations. Content, the units begin with conceptual understanding and move to decontextualize situations when appropriate. Unit and lesson design assist students in building connections between mathematical understanding and procedural skill. And finally, organization. The curriculum resource includes instructional support to help teachers prepare for units and implement daily lessons. District administration supports the Mathematical Adoption Committee's recommendation to approve the adoption of Open Up Illustrative Mathematics as the primary instructional resource for K-8 mathematics.
Thank you, members. Any questions?
Was this the math that I think I walked into a few of the pilot programs, is that correct?
Yes.
I'm excited about this. This is great. Full support here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Camp, you talked about the alignment with the state standards. Is it completely aligned, or are there some places that we'll need to fill in?
It is completely aligned, and as you know, with any resource, it's never a perfect resource. So if we need to supplement and we get into using the program as our primary instructional resource, then we will take recommendations from our teachers as to how to supplement. No program is perfect. I'll be the first to say that.
Unless you're in Texas and they write the textbook, so then they're all matched up. Mr. President, I move that we approve the Open Up Illustrative Mathematics as the primary instructional resource for K-8 grade mathematics.
Well, second.
I have a motion by Board Member Bixler, a second by Board Member Parks to approve Open Up Illustrative Mathematics as the primary instructional resource for K-8 grade mathematics. Call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Aguirre.
Yes.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that approved. 5 yes, 0 no.
Mr. Todd, may I say something?
You may.
I just want to personally thank all of our teachers and their commitment to the time and dedication of the committee.
I would second that. Being able to be a part of the different meetings of teachers looking at curriculum or supplemental materials is fantastic. To see 50-plus people in our district take part in this, that's when we know we're doing things right. That's when we know we're hitting home runs. And thank you to every one of them. Greatly appreciate it.
Ms. Camp, can I add something here? There's a rumor running around that we're going to kind of accentuate this so the parents have an opportunity to learn more about what they're. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I think we better agendize that for another meeting, for open meeting
Okay.
requirement.
All right.
But
I'd love to
We can
do
add
that.
that maybe to the next meeting real quick.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Item 6.2, discussion and consideration to approve the K-8 mathematics primary instructional resource, which is Open Up Illustrative Mathematics, as a sole source purchase. And somebody's got some information on why we're sole sourcing, correct?
Yep. I'm going to look back at Tara, our procurement specialist. But because governing board, we are proposing to use ESSER funds, which is federal funding. We are proposing to approve Open Up Illustrative Mathematics K-8 primary instructional resource as a sole source purchase. And you will see provided for you in the executive summary as to the Arizona revised statutes and why we're using that language.
Right, just so I understand that, it's the sole source because they're the only ones that sell it, right? And that's what makes it the sole source.
That is correct.
Can I ask, the fee on this is a little over $84,000. How long do we anticipate this to last us before, what's the trend, or what are we thinking to replace?
So usually you're on a 5 to 7 year evaluation of curriculum. So I would say 5 to 7 years. There is going to be an ongoing cost for anything that is consumable in the program, but it would not be as much as the initial cost of the program.
Fair enough. I'll take a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the Open Up Illustrative Mathematics K-8 Mathematics Primary Instructional Resource as a sole source purchase.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks,
Aye.
Board Member Guire,
Yes.
Board Member Bixler,
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that approved. 5 yes, 0 no. Next up will be item 6.3, discussion and consideration to approve overnight and out-of-state travel proposals.
So I'll just keep going. When we purchase a new resource, we have to train on that new resource. And so we are recommending out-of-state travel for the Hive 2023 conference. This conference is offered specifically to support districts with implementation of Open Up Illustrative Mathematics. And we are proposing to send a team of educational services, instructional coaches, and teachers to attend the Hive conference. The reason for that is we truly want to build internal district capacity to fully support training, implementation, and coaching of this newly adopted mathematics resource.
Ms. Kemp, does this Illustrative Math, do they offer a trainer of trainers? Can we get one of our people trained as a trainer?
That's the proposal. That's what we'd like to send them to do.
Great.
The only thing I would question is, I don't know any airport parking that's $24 for 4 days. We might want to adjust that up. Because I go there a lot, and where $24 a day is anywhere that's not 3 miles away from the furthest point on the airport. But I think we should just make note of that. I think they're up to about $16 a day right now.
Mr. President, I move that we approve out-of-state travel for the Hive 2023 conference.
Okay, do we want to take the parking as it is, or do we want to adjust that for what it should be? Because I don't think you can park at the airport for 4 days for $24.
May I make a recommendation? This is for the approval of the conference, not necessarily the cost.
Right, that's what I was
Okay,
thinking.
that's fine. I just saw it there, so if we're good with that, that would be fine. Okay, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. When I call your name, please specify your vote. We'll go the other way. Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Aguirre.
Yes.
Board Member Parks.
Aye.
I'm also a yes. We'll show that approved. 5 yes, 0 no. Next up is item 6.4, discussion and consideration to approve FCI Constructors as the construction manager at risk for the transportation facility.
Good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. On March 23rd, the district issued RFQ 23-3-23 seeking statements of qualifications from qualified vendors to provide the services of construction manager at risk. The services include but are not limited to design support, pre-construction, and construction for the transportation facility, which includes the construction of a detached bus maintenance facility, offices, as well as parking for buses, our white fleet, private vehicles, and improvement of adjacent ways. The district conducted the RFQ in accordance with Arizona Administrative Code Rules 7-2-1100 to 7-2-1116. The evaluation committee consisted of David Schmidt, architect with DLR, Patrick Shepard from Chase Building Team, and district employees Natasha Camp, Kay Hamrick, John Moreno, Kevin Gates, and myself. On April 19th, statements of qualifications were received from 3 qualified firms. Qualifications were scored based on the selection criteria listed in the RFQ. The firms were then invited to participate in interviews scheduled and held on May 8th. Through the combined ranking of both the evaluation of statements of qualifications and the interview process, as well as performance data submitted by each firm, the evaluation committee selected the highest ranked firm for recommendation. The evaluation committee and administration request the governing board to approve FCI Constructors as the most qualified contractor on the final list. Unfortunately, a member from FCI Constructors has been held up in traffic.
So a couple questions. Who will negotiate the contract and any penalties for late performance or anything of that? Do we do that, or do we work with our architects to assist with that? How does that work?
Costs are negotiated with administration.
Okay. And that comes back to the board at some point, or no? Okay, great. Okay. Perfect.
Was it part of the interview process that all contractors understood that there's possible hazardous violations that the district is quite possibly could incur?
Yes, all of them were aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll take a motion in a second.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve FCI Constructors as construction manager at risk for the transportation facility.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Kenyon, a second by Parks, to approve FCI Constructors as the construction manager at risk for the transportation facility. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Aguirre.
Yes.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Will show that approved. 5 yes, 0 no. Okay, next up is 7.1, board comments and agenda topic requests.
Mr. President, I don't necessarily have a topic request, but I would like to see if, I know we have Dr. Monroe on staff now, and we're excited about that. And previously, we were able to, like once a month, tour one of the schools and stuff. And I know throughout the summer that's going to be difficult, but once school gets rolling again, I would like those kind of tours to resume and be able to associate with the campuses again.
Thank you. I'm sure that will continue to happen. I think that's a high priority for majority of the board, at least, if not all. So I don't think you have anything to be concerned about.
I just had a comment. Want to thank all the family members of our fallen brothers and sisters with the celebration of Memorial Day. Hold on to your loved ones. If you have family overseas in the military, please thank them for everything that they do and everything that they will do.
Board Member Parks, do you have anything?
Nope.
Okay. The only thing I have is I would like to see the board participate a little bit in the, just some feedback if they have any thoughts on the gifted stuff as that moves forward more. I think that can be handled pretty easily. Other than that, I don't have anything at this time. Oh, yes, sir? Oh.
I know.
Just asking for the gifted if we can be noticed when they're doing the gifted meetings and so forth, so we can hear some of the feedback. Okay, hearing nothing else, we've got a rather light schedule now that we have Dr. Monroe on board. Thank you for that. 2 board meetings coming up, June 12th and June 26th. Are those okay for everybody? Hearing none, we'll continue forward with those 2 meetings. Next up will be adjournment of the meeting.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to adjourn the governing board meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. Call your name, specify your vote. Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Aguirre.
Yes.
Board Member Parks.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that approved 5 yes, 0 no. The meeting is adjourned at 6:41.